Welcome to For Love and Play. I'm matchmaker comic Yael Meisels. With me is comedians Keenan Weaver and Louie B. For Love and Play, the show about dating like a goddamn adult. We're going to discuss who to spend your time with for love or for play. Let's do it, boys.
This show contains adult content for entertainment purposes. Listener discretion is advised.
Not a doctor.
All right, thanks for tuning in. We got another episode. This one I think is going to be amazing. We're going to really get deep. Try not to be too lighthearted. I know I joke all the time. I'm going to try to be serious throughout this one because we're going to talk about single parents and the dating game. But as always, I got my favorite people with me. The Queen. What's going on, Yael?
What's up? How you doing?
All right, I'm good. And we got the B, Louie.
Yes, good evening. How are you doing?
All right, great. I'm glad everybody's here. We're really gonna try to touch on some serious points today. Everybody is, I'm sure, had an experience dating a single parent, and I just kind of want to know your story. So, ladies first, Queen. Any experience dating like a single father?
Yes. I think I actually maybe even mentioned him briefly in the past. I dated back in the winter a single father who on the first date, it was just all over him. I mean, he didn't bring it up. I was on point and guessed, and I guessed down to like the sex of the child. And I was like, okay, so you have a daughter who's about 4, and all right, so tell me about that. And here's the thing. He didn't really fully understand who he was going out with or why, I'm special. I know how to ask a question to anybody to get as most honest of an answer as humanly possible. So it was a pleasant experience, but because I broke the ice and picked up on it right away, on date 1, I felt like if he was not going to disclose prior that he had a daughter, and had I not gotten to the bottom of it, I don't think he would have asked. He would not have offered that information. And as we dated, I further became correct that he would normally not mention his daughter until he was dating someone a few weeks. And I feel like that's all kinds of deceitful. But we got to the bottom of it right away, and he's a great guy. If it were a right fit between he and I, the daughter would not have been an issue for me in the slightest.
Right. Which I think that's a good basic story. And that's one of the topics that we're actually going to probably dive into later on in the podcast is when should someone who is a parent tell that they do have children? All right, Louie, any experiences?
Actually, yeah. When a few years ago, I was dating this chick, and she had a daughter. I fell in love with the daughter. Would bought her like a little Dora the Explorer toy when Dora the Explorer was huge. At the time I was 21, and I went to go visit her, and what did it for me was when the mother pointed at me and said, "Look, Jerry Lynn, your new daddy."
Ooh, yikes!
And we were only dating for a month.
Well, the fact that you knew the kid at the month, I take issue with, but that's a whole other story.
I turned around. I literally turned around and ran.
I don't blame you, and that was the right response.
And I haven't seen her since. Haven't spoken to her since. Nope.
And it's been years.
Yep.
Wow.
Well, there you go.
And that'll be another topic that we'll dive into later. Is just when should you introduce your child to this other person that's going to be in your life? Like, how soon? How long? That's a touchy situation. Me personally, I'm actually very not that experienced with dating single parents. That's something that I just choose not to do. I do not date single moms, and I haven't for all of my 20s. It was a hard set rule. I just wouldn't even talk. Recently, I've lifted that to I'll put them in the play category, strictly play, and I have 1 or 2 experiences with that. But in the play category, it's really nothing deep to go against. It's like just straight booty calls.
Well, as long as everyone is thoroughly aware of their role, I don't see a problem with that as long as it's done in your home.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why
going to her house.
I think that that's why this conversation between the 3 of us is really going to be great because we all have 3 separate different experiences from it. We're coming at it from 3 different perspectives. I have it's not about the woman, why I don't date single moms. Right. It's more about me. It's just I felt, especially in my 20s, I wasn't ready for the instant responsibility. If you fall in love with a woman with kids, that is instantaneous versus the ramp up and the warm up of actually getting another woman pregnant and having 9 months to kind of get your ish together. You know what I'm like? That's what I'm saying. Like, it's not, it's just an instantaneous thing that I just felt like at the time I wasn't ready for, I wasn't responsible for, I wasn't mature enough for. I might be leaning towards bettering myself on that, and that's why they're in the play category now. Who knows? At 35, 40, maybe I'll be open to like we talked when we were talking to Teresa and Doug. I was like, yo, if they're done, if the kids is already raised, I'll do it. I'll do it. Right. So we'll see how that goes. But
I mean, this is
somebody who is, you are a single mother. And
Very
you talk
true.
about your children all the time on this episode.
I do.
I really do like your kids, but it hurts me to hear about kids. So I always grit my teeth about those things because I feel like it's contagious. I don't know why. It's just a fear.
I mean, listen, I promised you, that we would never drink out of the same cup. So I never would. Let's just put it this way: when it comes to my children, Uncle Louie, I would have no problem leaving my kids for the day with Uncle Louie. I don't think anything, for sure not inappropriate. I'm saying this is the type of person who has the temperament and the nature to be a stepfather. I'm saying if I needed all day babysitting, I'm calling Uncle Louie before Uncle Keenan because Uncle Keenan is a lot like mommy when it comes to other people's children.
Uncle Louie would teach the boys how to punch people in the zipper.
That's exactly not what...
That is perfect.
You know what, guys? That is so not true, though, about Louie, and I feel like he gets a bad rap because he talks so much shit. When I tell you that I trust this Neanderthal... Like, people think Louie is a Neanderthal.
He's a teddy bear, but
he's a teddy bear
that you got at, like, a tag sale. Like, it's just a little worn out. So he's got scratches. The button might be missing, but he's still a teddy bear.
Louie will come over, help you with your kids, help you clean your house. Like, Louie is like the brother I never effing had. It's amazing. I love Louie. If any woman wanted to date Louie, honest to God, she'd have to be the right kind of special because this is a man who will emotionally take care of you. I'm serious.
And I know
Louie, you're the type of boy, man, that you have a family with.
Listen to this podcast that actually know me. They're like scratching their head because I'm actually very good with kids. It's just that I don't want to be the person called for babysitting. I'll give you a perfect story. I'll give you a perfect story on exactly my position on this. I'm the oldest of 5 kids, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And when I was growing up, around like 14, 15, the oldest is always given the duty of babysitting when parents got to leave. And that was my responsibility. And the very first time I saw that this was about to be a pattern, I fucked up so royally that my dad started shipping my other cousin, same age, from South Carolina up here to take care of my brothers and sisters. Literally would pay for a flight so that she could be the babysitter. And then I got to go play basketball. Like, I didn't want to do that stuff. And I still don't. Sure. But we want to actually get into from your standpoint, being a single mother, what are the challenges specifically in the dating game that you see and that we can form our conversation around?
All right. There are so many. All right. Challenges that I have seen and I've obviously encountered. Okay. Obviously. To even say that the fact that I'm a single mom does not affect my dating, who I date, that's 1000% not true. There's a lot of belief that single mothers don't have the right to be choosy. There's a lot of belief that, it's kind of like you should lessen your standards a little bit because, this guy is nice enough to take you on and kind of like forgive the fact that that you have children with somebody else, which to them automatically, they're accepting you not only with children, but with failure. So, you know what I mean? It's like, well, you should really look the other way on certain issues that are very important, kind of like you're lucky to have attracted somebody, if that makes any sense. So
right. As if having kids puts a scarlet letter on you. And,
it definitely does.
Right.
Yeah.
I get that. Anything else?
there's so much. I mean, the worry of financially, what is this going to cost me? Am I financially responsible now for your children? When is it the right time to meet them? What about dudes in the house? Things like that. I mean, there are so many issues. It's really kind of like, which one would you like to focus on today? You know, like this is going to be one show of several that we're going to do periodically to not, I guess, to kind of like expose some of the problems and resolve some of the fallacies of what a single parent should be looking for in a partner, or even so much as a hookup situation. If you're not ready for a boyfriend, a partner at this time, whatever, what type of dude, because we all have needs, look, the world we live in, people are not celibate. I mean, even if you're looking down to a dude you're going to hook up with, what should you be cognitive of? What should scare you? What should scare you away? What should the expectations and the standards be? I mean, these are all very important issues.
Okay, so let's start with
in Romance Forever and in a booty call situation.
Let's start with what you touched on up top then, and that's with the Scarlet Letter. Is it the same for women and men? Like, do the single fathers have that Scarlet Letter, or is there a very big double standard within that?
Very big double standard. Very big double standard.
I believe so. I believe it's the same.
You do, Louis. Why do you believe it's the same?
I mean, okay, this is the way I look at it, and I'm putting it like, I'm gonna put this out there as single parents. No, if you have no kids, if you are going into a situation when you're dating someone with kids, man or female, automatically you are put second to their child, and rightfully so. And why would you want to be in a situation where, hey, I don't have time to take you out because my kid is sick, or da 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 da. Stuff happens. Kids, In fact, I went on a date with this chick a few years ago, and this is a girl that I kind of was messing around with in high school. And we met, she had a kid, and, I decided to take her out on a date because I still wanted to explore to see if we could start something back up. I took her out to, BBQs on Times Square, and I was, she wanted to get drunk, and she brought her child. Her child had, some developmental issues. And she was, yeah, so not only, and of course, yeah, I was right. Uncle Louis sprung to action because afterwards, she was trying to get like 3, Bloody Marys, whatever, that frosty alcoholic drink they serve at Brazilian BBQs that comes in a huge fucking cup. I don't know what it's called. I don't drink.
I don't drink either.
Keenan, you know what I'm talking about, right? That fruity drink. You look like someone that drinks fruity drinks.
I don't drink at all, but I am familiar with the drink.
Okay then.
Right.
As I try to throw Keenan under the bus for no reason.
It's okay.
Anyway, she basically wanted to buy a bucket of liquor.
Yeah, and
milk this shit to the absolute fullest while she had a night out and essentially a babysitter.
Pretty much. And then as we were done, it was like during Christmas time, so she wanted to get some Christmas shopping done. So we went to Toys R Us, and the little girl didn't want to stay in her stroller, so she kept running out into the street. And for those of you who don't know how hectic Times Square is during the holidays, and how
I would never even take my kids to Times Square on a Tuesday, let alone around the Christmas holiday. That's crazy.
Yeah, the little girl kept running into the streets. I had to, and the mom was like, da, 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 looking up everywhere. I don't know why I did this, but I grabbed the little girl and was holding on to her for dear life. Little girl's trying to like spin around so that way I could lose my grip.
Right.
But at one point I ended up picking her up by her Oshkosh Bagosh overalls and started carrying her like a purse. So that way she wouldn't run out into the street. So we get to Toys R Us. And, she's like, oh, you're going to help me do my shopping. And I was like, what? This girl didn't even want to, like, fucking kiss me or hold my hand, and yet I'm supposed to, like, pay for shit? So that was, like, strike 2. Strike 3 is when we were in the girls section of the Toys R Us, and she's like, ask Uncle Louie to buy you a toy. This is our first date, mind you.
Bottom line is you should have, I mean, you shouldn't even have participated on that date.
Yeah.
Right.
You should have walked out the door so many times. Nobody with any integrity would have even stayed on that date.
So
Seriously.
after she said that,
I would have just been like, you know what? I see this doesn't, like, I wouldn't even have participated on the date. If a dude brought a kid on a first date, I walked out the door, done.
I mean,
I'm not even entertaining this for a minute. You're so not in the right place to have to be dating.
and I'm having a hard time seeing the connection of why why women with kids deserve a scarlet letter from that experience specifically.
Okay.
Or why you feel men that are dads, single dads, have the same scarlet letter.
Yeah, most people, Louis, for Christ's sakes, would absolutely never do something like this. Even your craziest person would hide this level of stupid.
First of all, even when if I'm in the vicinity of someone's kids and I'm with that person, with the parent, I am I'm so tuned out. Like, first of all, guys suck at being parents in the first place. Like, we just really don't have the same instinctual nurturing that women have to really protect.
Sure.
And if I'm with someone who is the parent, then that to me means I'm off duty. Like that is it. If this kid gets hurt, you were here. Like, you were here.
Right.
So if that woman was walking around, like you said, doo-doo-doo, and you're saving her child.
That's Child Protective Services case. Honestly,
yeah, exactly.
I would have gone to the cop and been like, this is, you know what? Like, I took this woman on a date. She is inebriated. I am now holding this child. You deal with all of this. I would, that honestly, that would, if a dude came to me and said, I alerted on a date a standing officer to come and intervene to see to it that mother and child are safe, I would have no problem with that. I'd be like, you did the right thing.
But what that does bring out is it seems like when you're dating a single parent, specifically a single mom in Louie's case, there's three types of single mothers that you could encounter. Louie, can you expand on those types?
Well, okay. They're the one that I mentioned earlier. She basically they're the ones that they're responsible. They got their own place. They're working, but they're looking for daddy.
Right.
And they're ones that are just straight up hood rats that, they're looking for someone that's gonna pay for their entertainment, which she ended up admitting to me because she called me upset saying, "Oh, I just wanted someone to pay for me to go out."
Of course.
She ended up revealing to me that she was still with her boyfriend who was currently incarcerated.
Okay, but but this is more of like a separate topic of how to gauge.
It really is.
Sorry.
It's more of why the hell is Louie putting up with certain things versus
you're trying to pursue. This story realistically has very little to do with single parenting. It has a lot to do with why people attract disastrous and destructive individuals.
So for you to bring it back.
Topic. Let's keep it. I don't even want to talk about this woman again. Who cares?
For you to bring it back, Yael, why do you think men don't have the scarlet letter and women do?
I will tell you precisely why. There is an expectation with single mothers that you are desperate, that you're damaged goods, you have a divorce on your record. Like there was a recording that we were listening to that referenced something that a woman left, when you have your children inside of wedlock, which I did. I was married. He was my husband. We had a divorce. I mean, whatever. I had children with my husband. That's the only way I think any person should ever have children. And that, in my opinion, marriage solidifies family. So, excuse me. There's an expectation. There was something said that, well, she left her family. She didn't let the man be the head of the household. That's almost never the reality. That's almost never the reason a woman leaves her husband and the father of her children. I'm not saying this is 100% of the time true, but usually when a woman leaves a marriage, provided she's mentally and emotionally healthy, it's usually for half two reasons because, maybe this was a decision made too quickly. I'm saying to get married in the first place. Maybe you didn't date long enough. Things come out once you live together that maybe you didn't know. My situation, there was no way. Nobody stood under the chuppah with, then I did at my wedding with the sincere hope that this individual and I are going to, be a unit, have a family and persevere and give our children and our life everything that we had sought out to do. You know what I mean?
I get it. So let me ask you this. Within your specific situation, you and your ex-husband, who is the father of your children, what do you think are the differences as opposed to like that, specifically speaking of the double standard of how he has moved on and dated and how the world sees him versus how the world sees you?
Okay. Men by default are usually more confident. Men walk out of families all the time. Good ones, bad ones. You know how many people have great marriages and the secretary is sexy and now he's banging her? Now he's a single father. Men have, first of all, more of a desire to keep their private life private, which a relationship with a woman, indicative of whether or not he has kids, your friends might not know about. I'm saying men value and I think almost hold their children up to a little bit more of a sacred higher standard. Women will introduce children to men all the damn time. You would have to be damn near before engagement, usually for a man to introduce you to his children. So you would have to be a permanent figure or someone whom he believed at some point will be a permanent figure for a man to involve a woman, provided everyone's mentally and emotionally healthy.
Right. So I see two dichotomies in that. One is like you said, men are more guarded with their children.
Yeah.
I almost don't agree. I feel like it's that separation. It's like how you said, men do walk out on their fathers, on their families more often than women do.
Unfortunately, that's true.
And the reason to that is that women are more apt to have the child really become a part of her life. So what I mean is that almost becomes her identity to a certain extent. It's like, these are my kids, I love them, and they are my world. Versus a father that, it could still be a good father, but the identity isn't really attached to their children. They still would talk more about their job first or whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
100%. Absolutely.
And I know why a lot of fathers walk out on their children because putting on car seats is horrible. It's a horrible experience, and I don't know why people would want to do that. I would leave too.
I mean, my ex-husband and I left. I was the one who actually left. You know what I mean? But I feel like he's the one who put me in the position. You know what I'm saying? Like he all but pulled the trigger. He was going to let that be my
right.
And
he gave you all the reasons.
He gave me all of the reasons and then stood back and said, my wife left me. Do you know what I'm saying?
Right.
But even in our dynamic and social circles and family situation, everyone involved and aware of what, the struggles at the time would agree with you that his behavior and my leaving, that I was doing the responsible thing for our family by leaving that marriage.
Right. So, and the other part of what I said between your specific situations as the double standard between the two of you dating now after a marriage and with kids is men don't really have that scarlet letter because women are attracted to a nurturing man. So what I'm saying is,
if I could jump in, I mean, the reason why I believe that it should be equal, or I think it is equal, because I mean, if you're a single woman, you don't have no kids, you got everything you got your ish together. Why should you date someone with baggage? In my point,
it's not though.
Okay,
men. The bottom line is, when a man involves a woman that he is dating immediately into the situation with his kids, there is a reason for that, and it is usually not a good one. It is usually because now it's your job to babysit on his behalf, to help pick up the slack, of him having to be a single father. Now he's got a new partner.
I don't even agree with that, because most single dads are part-time dads anyway.
Right.
Right. Most of them are part-time. They get the kids on the weekends, whatever, blah, 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 blah. The second thing is why I'm saying that the guy doesn't generally have that scarlet letter on his forehead is because women are attracted to a man that could be a good father. And if he's demonstrating that now, that's more of a plus. It's like I used to take my godson to the mall all the time. You know how much women I would get just from like hanging around my godson? They would think they're just attracted to that. It's internal. So why would someone that you are attracted to showing certain qualities have a scarlet letter on? Whereas most guys are kind of like running away from kids or not necessarily have that dream of having kids. So when they meet a single mother, that brings in, like I said for myself, a very real responsibility that I haven't been able to handle.
Right.
So, I mean, I just think that the scarlet letter definitely is a double standard. I can tell you definitely experiences from, like I said, with my godson. All right, let's move on to what was the other? Oh, when should you introduce or let the other person know? Let's do two parts. Let's first do when should you let them know that you have kids?
Right away.
And then second, when should you introduce? Okay, so you go right away.
Right away.
And I agree.
You should not go, in my humble opinion, ain't nothing I'm saying law. All right? You should not go on a date with a man or a woman who is not aware that you have a child. Period. I think it's something that anyone has the right to know prior to even going out with you one time. But that's always followed up with, but I want him to give me a chance. No, because if he's going to run, I promise you're making it more hurtful for yourself, because if he's going to run before anything can start. You having a kid, it doesn't usually sweeten the pot. You know what I'm saying? Finding out at a later date, because
right.
that opens up a whole list of questions. If you're going to lie to me about being a parent, especially when you have sole custody of your child, if the kid is living, growing up in your house, if you're going to lie to me about the basics, what else are you going to lie to me about? That definitely plants that worry into the head of the person who went on the date with somebody that had a kid and wasn't upfront about it.
I mean, I completely agree with that. Specifically, if you put me in the shoes of that situation, if a woman tells me up front, we have a real uninvested conversation about it, right? But if she tells me 3 months later and now we may be attached,
3 days later, it's too long.
I'm right. It is. But I'm saying there's real events where women do wait a while.
So, I mean, it's more commonly done by men, but yeah.
Men do it, and that goes back to that goes back to not really being attached to their identity.
Right, exactly. But I think it's something that...
I actually saw this video where it was an African-American couple. They were sitting in a restaurant, and the guy, he's like, oh, I gotta go pick up my son. And the girl's like, you have a son? And,
right.
And she's like, she starts kind of like, getting kind of nervous, and she's like, look, I gotta go. I'll call you later. And he's like, what? You knew I wasn't a virgin? And she really had a problem with him having a kid. So I mean, the point I'm trying to make is, yeah, be upfront with it, but don't be surprised if somebody doesn't want to be your concierge to your baggage.
Absolutely not.
It doesn't have to be a concierge to baggage. That's why I wanted to tell my specific story. I feel like there are a lot of guys that are really running away from quote-unquote baggage. I don't look at your child, you having a child, as baggage, and the mother shouldn't either. That goes back to Yael saying how there's some advice telling women to change their standards and lower their standards, as if some guy coming into their life is a blessing or some miracle that is happening.
Well, no, finding a partner that holds longevity and someone who you can trust, rely on, and all of that. I mean, honestly, in situations like mine, I held on to the very end. I tried my best. I mean, I was not walking away from that marriage unless I absolutely had to. My intention going in was for the rest of our lives. There is nobody in the world I'm going to try harder with to, facilitate structure, family, and all of, peace and everything in between. There was nobody in the world that I was going to try harder with than that individual. You know what I mean? I married him on my own volition. So for me, I'm a credible, competent partner. That's why I'm very selective in who I go out with. My children have met two, legit two. In the almost 4 years they've been alive, they've met two people that I've dated. Just two. It's not, for me, it's not a game. Yes, 100%, I would be lying if I said I was not looking for father material. I am specifically looking for father material. If I could not, as I should be.
Right.
Because right. And I'll tell you a giant lesson that I learned in picking my husband, or now ex-husband, who is the father of my children, and which type of man or husband I would pick now.
Get out the trash.
Jumping back in so we don't have lots of time wasted. When I was dating my ex-husband, I was more open to the idea of emotional, trying to find lifelong compatibility based on fiery emotional love. Now, that's almost a terrible way to pick out a partner. I would never do that now. So I had a lot of irrational love for my ex-husband. I still definitely loved him, but I loved him, I truly believe, for the wrong reasons. And then, unfortunately, as our marriage fell apart, I started to see what I would value in a partner, what you're able to do with, in terms of what have you done with yourself? What have you made of yourself? I want to know, walking in the door, you can support me, not because I expect you to. I want to know you can afford family. You can afford togetherness, the real shit. Not because I'm a Jap or I'm a snob or I want a diamond. I don't give a shit about diamonds. I want the seriousness of, this is a focused person who followed through with a plan, made something of himself, isn't dangerous, has qualities that I would like to see, mimicked or mirrored in my children at a later date. This is specifically what I'm looking for in a partner. And I look at it like this. I'm bringing partnership to the table. You know what I mean? I'm offering legit a no bullshit wife situation. So why should I accept less? Because I happen to be coming with children. I left my marriage for the right reasons. Nobody sane would have stayed. So my situation is substantially different than someone who just uprooted her family because I don't want to be with you anymore. Okay, well, that's a symptom of a far bigger problem. You know what I mean? You probably shouldn't be dating that person anyway.
And I think that's something that everybody, if you are single and looking to date someone that has kids, you kind of got to really, while the parent is doing their fact finding and making sure that you're vetting, you also need to be doing the same thing, because the person's situation is
relevant,
going to affect. So, right. So you being a married with children, then divorced single mom is a very different situation than meeting a woman who had a baby from a one night stand, or a very different situation from.
I would never even suggest it. I don't know where anyone holds on this. It's a very controversial topic. I understand people have heated debates over abortion. I don't believe, in my humble opinion, you should keep a baby for any reason with someone from a one night stand.
Yeah, but that's going into a whole different.
But I'm saying that's what I don't even think that's my opinion. Take it. It's out in the universe. Right. Shut down. I'm done.
That's what I'm saying, though. So as a guy who is looking to date someone with kids, you got to really look at how they became a single mom. Like, that makes a big difference. That's where you can start talking about, quote unquote, baggage. Now, baggage could be, you had this one night stand and the baby daddy is horrendous. That's where the term baby drama mama comes from, like from the other side. Like those things can be baggage. The kids aren't necessarily the baggage, but other things around
baggage. Sure, they sure do.
Exactly. Other things around it can really change how you approach this relationship. But
Right.
to change how you set your standard or anything like that is just completely unnecessary.
Oh, I think so too. I think that when you have kids, like, okay, booty call situation. Let's be real. We're all adults here. The whole point of this show is to talk about relevant issues that grown-ups face every day. Maybe you're not looking for love right now. You want to get laid. I hear you. Tinder is all over. You know,
I hear you
hard
too.
to find. Hell yeah. You know, even after 2 kids, thank God, knock wood, I still look pretty good. The show is called For Love and Play. The man you would play with should never see the inside of your house for any reason. Maybe to use the bathroom dropping you off, but that's about it. That is not a person. And I'm not saying because he's dangerous. Hello, you shouldn't be dating somebody dangerous, period, for any reason.
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying your sex life does not belong, period, in the home you provide for your children. End of that discussion. If this is not a man who at any point could possibly be the stepfather to these kids, effing hell, that man does not see the inside of your home, period. If you can't fuck him, not anyone's problem. Call all your girlfriends, ask who could spend the night and throw you a salad so you can go to Steven's house and get laid. Not a big deal. No way do you bring that dude in your house. That is my firm opinion. I never break that rule. I never bring a dude home. Like I said, 2 guys that I've dated that were important gentlemen in my life, 2 met my children.
So
Out
how
of
long
everybody I've dated,
were you dating? How long were you dating before you introduced them to your children?
with the
And
first
what was your real process? What was your real thought process throughout that duration?
Well, okay. So the first person that I dated lived locally. Like, he lived in Bushwick. So, and thank God I have live-in help. So I had the freedom to go get to know him as a person. We probably dated about 2.5 months pretty solid before he came over and met the kids. But it was very casual. Like, you know what I mean? I think he maybe slept over twice. But I'm saying the kids actually really liked him. He liked them. We would order pizza. We a few times went to the park together. This was a person that I felt was emotionally solid enough. Like, even after he and I broke up, a couple of times, there was a couple of times he was free. He actually is a freelance filmmaker. And he had some days off, and he babysat for me so I could go get some appointments. So I'm saying that was very positive. The kids like him, and he lives in Texas now, but we're still friends. We're still in each other's lives.
So what was the real, because what I would say, I'm not in it, but from the outside looking in, I would think that as a mom, you want to vet this guy for some real personality traits, some real defects, really to protect your child. That's the number one thing.
Yeah, there were no, there was still, like I said, he and I are still close and to this day.
So you did that that vetting. So what I want to say, what I want you to say is, what is that real process that you think you go through to really find out that this is an upstanding gentleman that can be around your family?
Not his family, but you got to know his friends. About the time that he should be meeting your kid would be about the time you should be meeting his family.
Right.
I'm saying, what is your interaction? He was clearly my boyfriend. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, we broke up because we just weren't falling in love. But the desire to fall in love was there. It just wasn't meant to be. And that's probably how we're, like I said, we're still good friends. So, just upstanding person. I don't know, sane, stable. Didn't seem that there was anything to hide. Took an interest in, while he was Jewish, he didn't keep kosher or anything like that, and know that would be something that would come along with dating me, and was like, listen, that's a compromise I would make, as long as you don't care what I eat outside of the house. I mean, so this was a more focused person, and he was actually a couple years younger than me. I think he's like 3 years younger than me. It was just a more focused person, ready for. This was a man looking for wife material. So that's,
Okay, perfect. Yeah, exactly. So you already knew that this is a gentleman that had the hopes of having his own family, or wanting a family, wanting a wife, wanting those things that this comes with. You did say something about the kind of the culture, and that was religious, but not outside of the religiousness.
Right. No, but I'm saying.
No, I'm trying to get to another point. So not that. I feel like one thing that both parties should really look at when they do have a relationship and you're introducing this person to your children is the parenting styles of both people.
Right.
Would you agree that has to be in sync as well?
Oh, totally. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, from getting to know him and his temperament and then seeing him around my kids, I think that he would be an excellent father and an excellent stepfather. And the children, my children are 3.5 years old. Should I find the right person in the right time, at a reasonably younger age, they can actually grow up with, you know what I mean?
Right, but I'm saying specifically things on just like the style of how you raise your kids. The man would have to fit that style.
Totally, yeah.
Right? So what
Absolutely.
I'm saying is forget like just the money thing, right? Forget that. We'll assume he's capable of handling a family, right, financially. But you are a stickler for education.
Yep.
Right? Wouldn't you think that any guy that you really are serious as saying, okay, this could be stepdad material,
right,
has to also be a stickler for education?
Yep, absolutely. I'm saying that's what I'm saying. We'd have to have mirrored values.
Exactly.
Someone who would want his child to be religiously educated, but I mean, someone who would want his child to be raised in a traditional Jewish household. I mean, someone who would, indicative of what I do for a living, say on this show or as an entertainer, or you know what I mean? Even in my real estate career, at my core, I'm a mother, and I'm a pretty wholesome person with very traditional Jewish family values. So he would definitely have to be mirroring that in order to even get in the door.
Okay, perfect. I think that is exactly where we need to wrap this up.
Yeah, because also even the money requirement that I've gotten so much shit over. Oh, you're a Jap, you're a snob, you're a this, you're a realist. It costs money to be alive, yo. For real. No shit. Yeah. Like, I'm a single mother of twins. I better have 5 jobs. I better have a career. I better make sense. Like, damn straight. If someone wants their kids to go to private school, that costs money. If someone wants to have a certain kitchen style, whether it's kosher, halal, organic, vegan, whatever, all of this expensive. Lifestyle has to matter. You know what I mean? And when you have kids, you shouldn't be picking apart someone you're effing, on the weekend.
There's a very fine line, and both of you guys talked about certain stories about that throughout this episode. There's a very fine line from, quote unquote, a parent needing another person, and then a person just wanting companionship that fits their lifestyle.
Right.
So Louis showed a story of a woman that she needed a guy to take care of her. Like, that's
right.
And you have those single moms out there. I'm sure there's single dads that way too.
There are.
It's a very fine line from being that type of person to showing that you just want companionship and you just need a partner that fits your morals. But that's exactly where we'll end this up. So anything to promote, Yael?
We have the Creek. We are going to be headlining the He She Show the 4th Thursday of October at the Creek in the Cave. Thank you so much to Doug and Teresa for the invitation. Please like Yael Meisels for Love and Play. Follow me on SoundCloud, Urban Humor YM, and Instagram Yael Meisels, and Twitter Yael Meisels.
All right, Louis, what you got going on, man?
I'm competing in a contest to get a spot on Broadway Comedy Club. So if you want more details to help vote for me, please go to my Facebook at Louis B Comedy, or follow me on Twitter at Louis B Comedy 1. I also have a SoundCloud. It has a lot of my prank calls and other comedic stuff. You could just search for Louis B. Also, my personal radio show, The Crotch Shot Radio Show. You can listen to it on. You could subscribe to it on iTunes. You could, if you have the iHeart or TuneIn or Stitcher apps, just search for The Crotch Shot Radio Show and listen to me live. Take it away, Kenan.
All right, everybody knows where to find my information. It's www.kenanweaver.com. That's KeenanWeaver.com. I just did a show in the Poconos. I'm back next weekend in the Poconos with Chris Monty from Paul Bart Mall Cop 2. So we're gonna be having some fun down in the Poconos. It's a great crowd. It's a crowd of people that don't quite have ambition, because they would be living in Philly or New York if they did. But they also want to have some type of fun because all they have out there is a CVS. So
no, that's not true. There's a motel with wine glass shaped bathtubs.
They chill in champagne shaped bathtubs because they want to drink their soul away. Like that's why the bathtub is shaped that. Like it's just, I had a blast. I clown with these guys. I love it. Sundays, you can always catch me at New York Comedy Club, so you can come out to that show Sunday Night Live at New York Comedy Club every Sunday at 8 p.m. That's it. So keep loving, keep playing.
Happy New Year, Jews.